Welcome to this episode. I'm always excited to be with you. I know we missed our time together last week because I was teaching the Trust Masterclass. I've been teaching a series called Power Dynamics, and we kicked it off with trust, and we're going to go through collapsing time and some of the principles, the power principles that I've implemented in my own life that have allowed me to create the kind of results that I've created in my business in this time frame as I've been mastering these concepts. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that today too. One of the questions I asked as I was posting about this, inviting you to join me today, was, are you willing? A lot of people talk about doing what it takes to get to the next level, but I don't think we really understand oftentimes what that means. Most of us are willing to do. We're willing to push, we're willing to grind, we're willing to act and keep going, because that's what we've normalized. Hard work equals success, right? Hard work is where the payoff comes. But I want to give you a different perspective today. I want to give you a perspective today that will let you look at how to really create rapid transformation in your life and in your business from a different perspective, okay? Most people are unwilling to do the three simple things that I'm going to share with you today that I've used to create rapid results and that I use to help my clients do the same. Even as I'm mentoring clients, it's easy for them to do, take action. They're like, how do I do this? What do I do? But when I get to the point where it's time to do these things, because we're so used to behaving in a certain way, it's sometimes a little bit of a push that's required. Ask me how I know how. I see it all the time, right? I see it every single day. And what I want you to understand is that I have experienced the benefit of putting these principles into action in my own life and in my own business. Let me just break it down for you, just in case this is your first time encountering me. In 2016, I made a decision that I was going to show up differently. I didn't really know what that was going to look like. And I started to show more of myself and peel off layers. And by 2018, I had kind of figured out what it was that it kept me stuck, because I'd been in business since about 2011. And I was stuck for a very, very long time, watching lots of people who were new in my industry or possible competitors passing me by, creating massive amounts of visibility with clients and people who were investing with them. But it really wasn't happening for me. And I know for a lot of you who are listening to me right now, you have a similar story where you're looking around and you're like, I am brilliant. I am smart. You probably have degrees out the wazoo, certifications, all kinds of things. You know that 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 you can do the thing that you do like nobody's business. Yet the results that you're seeking, the money that you want to make, the money you want in your bank account, the clients and the types of clients that you desire to show up aren't quite there yet. Once I began to look at myself and lead myself in a different way, which is what I'm going to share with you today, in 2019, my company created 400K, roughly a little bit over 400K, almost 500,000. So let's say about 470, something like that, in 2019. In 2020, that was for the entire year. In 2020, my business created $1 million in a single month. In 2021, that same month, 12 months later, my business created $1 million in a day. This is what I'm talking about rapid results and collapsing time. Now, it took me years of peeling off layers to get to the point where I understood these principles. And what I always share with people is I now have mastered these principles and embody them, and I put them into practice every single day. But when I share them, it allows people like me with similar stories, similar backgrounds, similar high achieving, driven, tenacious types of people to actually collapse time faster than I did. I figured it out so you don't have to, right? And everybody's journey is different. Yours walk won't look exactly like mine. But as I share with you what I'm going to share with you today, what I want you to do is take a look at yourself. Take a look at who you're being in the world today. And then look at how these shifts can be applied immediately for you to begin to create different results than what you're creating, especially if you've been stuck at the same place for quite some time, especially if you're frustrated because you're not where you desire to be. There comes a time when you feel this shift. Let's call it the shift, right? It's a shift of not being willing to play small anymore. It's an unsettling in your spirit, like, ugh, what the heck is going on? I feel it. I'm on the precipice of something. I just don't know how. It's a call to expand into new levels for yourself. But how do you align with this knowing that you have? See how I'm like waving my hands? That's how it feels. How do you align with that? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So what happened for me when I went from working what seemed like 24/7 in my business, like just trying to figure stuff out. I was working weekends. I was working in the middle of the night whenever I got ideas. How many of you, if you're listening to me, you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of me. I'm doing that right now. Whenever I felt inspired, right? Because, I had big dreams and goals and it wasn't going to happen on its own. I had to make it happen. Like my office door was open 24/7. Sometimes you're like sitting in your PJs or your underwear, like, because you got a big thing that you want to do and you're just working it out. You're working out the funnel. You're working out the masterclass. You're working out the post that you're going to do. You're trying to find time to be with your children, all of those things. And so I went from behaving in this way, showing up in this way, thinking I had to do all the things right in order to create the type of business that I want, $1 million business. When the truth was, even with all of that I was doing, I was barely making more than $6,000 a month. I would make like $6,000 to $10,000 a month. Every once in a while, I'd have a $30,000 sales month, but the cash from that was still around $6,000 to $10,000 a month, right? Sometimes it was even more like $3,000 a month. And if I'm really honest, there were plenty of months where it was zero, right? Where there was month after month after month with nothing. And then I would have some sales, and then nothing. Like a lot of that was going on during these time frames. And now I work about 4 hours a day. I would say 5 hours max. And my company is I'm bringing in anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 cash every month. I know. I think the crazy thing for me is that, especially, I'm just going to call a spade, because I'm a Black chick who just looks like a normal, I'm not normal by any shape of the imagination person. I think it's hard for people to grasp that concept, but it's not just that, right? What I do in my business, how I create results, what I'm showing clients how to do, it's not normal. It's not what the average person does to create results in their business. And so I want to kind of lean into this, right? And what I want you to do is kind of lean in with me. I want you to hear me when I say this. The strategies that I was doing and implementing, they didn't change a whole lot. I'm pretty much still doing the same things that I was doing in 2016, 2017. I'm doing those same things now. What did change is how I saw myself, who I was being. That changed. And that had an impact from there. I think I probably cut my hair off in 2014. And then I dyed it around 2016, right? I just really started coming home to who I wanted to be in the world unapologetically. Showing up how I wanted to show up, no matter that most of the high level entrepreneurs in this space were, wearing beautiful dresses on stages and holding their hands out and taking pictures of the Eiffel Tower. And none of that resonated with me. And so I had to stop trying to be something that I wasn't and 100% be myself. And I remember that first photo shoot that I took. I hired a friend of mine to come out in my area. And that was the first time I took pictures where I wasn't smiling. First time. Because everybody would say, oh, your smile is beautiful. You should smile. And I wanted people to get to the soul of who I was as a person. Because when you get on the other side, there's not a whole lot of smiling. Like there's laughter and there's fun and there's play, but I'm a straight shooter. And I wanted people to see the essence of who I was from the beginning, from the outside. So instead of tra-la-lying down the street and smiley pictures with balloons and all the things that were out there at the time, I decided to look like this. And that was the first time in my business that I stepped into who I was by trusting myself and not what everyone else was saying needed to be done in order to attract clients to you. And then clients started to show up on a regular basis. Why? Because each of us has an energetic frequency that is resonant with who we are created to be by God's design. We also have people in life that we're meant to come into contact with for any apparent reason. Some of them for business, some of them just for life in general, some just a passing on the street. I believe those are divine assignments. Those people to whom you are assigned to cannot even see you when you are not being yourself. So, who I was being changed, how I saw myself change. Instead of me thinking I was trying to catch up to everybody else, I stopped looking at everybody else and I just owned the gift that I was. I owned who I was meant to serve, knowing that those people would recognize that I was their person. If to take a beat from Grey's Anatomy, they would recognize that I was their person, right? And from there, what changed is my vision, because I saw myself bigger than ever. Up until that point, up until 2018, I pretended like I didn't want to have $1 million business because I wanted one way back in the days when I was in my early 20s, and it didn't happen. And as a matter of fact, I got the wind knocked out of me and I lost everything, ended up on welfare again for the second time after promising never to go back, even after making multiple six figures in my business. It was embarrassing. I was filled with shame, right? So I started to tell myself this lie and diminish the goals that I set for myself. Oh, if I can just make a couple $100,000 a year, I'll be fine. And I went about business of my life acting out that lie until 2018, when I had a come to Jesus moment. And the reality was, I've always wanted and known that I was meant for more impact than that. Telling the truth about my desires changed something, because I no longer saw myself as a business owner who was just trying to make money for survival or to make ends meet, but the vision changed, the mission changed. It was truly tied to purpose and the people who are tied to that purpose. It began to be about the ripple effect. Likewise, from there, my support system changed, because in order for me to go where I was trying to go, it wasn't going to happen with, just taking small little courses here and there. It wasn't going to happen at all. What was required was a different level of mentorship and support. The other thing that changed is my belief. I had to get back to the core of the knowing that I had before the world kicked the crap out of me. Let's just say it that way. I had to remember who I was, like Mufasa told Simba, remember who you are. And so my belief changed in what was possible for me. That knowing, I returned to myself, and that knowing returned. And as a result of that belief, my level of investments in myself changed. So those were the things that changed. The strategies that I was using, they didn't change. I still live stream. I still post on social media, still do the same stuff. I still speak on stages. But the way I invested and how I invested in that dream and that vision changed. Who I decided to put around me to support me and how I was supported changed. My belief in myself, in my vision and what was possible, it changed. Here's the deal. When you make decisions that align with the truth of your desires and the purpose and the call of God in your life, and not from a place of fear or lack. And here's where I want you to check yourself. When you make decisions about what's next for you, is it aligned with the truth of your purpose and desires, or is it aligned with fear and lack? Because when you do it aligned with the desire, the purpose, the knowing, that is when magic happens. So From that space, I shifted from doing $8,000 to $10,000 a month max. And I remember that year investing with the mentor that was like $3,000 a month, and having a credit card that had a $3,000. It was $3,500 a month, and I had $3,300 a month, and I had a credit card max limit on my debit card. It was maxed at $3,000, and so I had to have her split the payments so that the payments could be made. And 6 months later, maybe it was 4 months later, that limit got pushed up to $10,000 because that investment and this shift about this vision for me started shifting things for me. Things started flowing to me because I was acting in alignment with the desire, right? So I shifted from the $10,000 a month max to $30,000 months really fast. And then I went from 30 to 50, like it just happened. It was just happening all within the same year. And then within a 12-month period, there was this jump from the $40,000 to $50,000 a month to $100,000 months, and then $200,000 months, and then $300,000 months came. I don't think we've hit a $500,000 month yet. I think we've hit a 4 or close to a 4. And I'm talking cash months, guys. And all of this happened because I chose to move in alignment with the desire, because I chose to shift and elevate from that knowing. Like when you feel that thing, something has to change. So I chose to elevate again and again and again and again. I went from that $3,500 investment. I joined 2 more programs, like at the same time that I was in that program. One was $2,500 and another was $2,500. And I remember, because I was still having my equilibrium around money wasn't settled yet. And so I was having conversations like, okay, can you do me a favor? Can I do $1,500 a month for 4 months? And then at the 4th month, pop up to 2, and then give me 3 more months at that level, and then pop up to 2,500. And it allowed me to settle my system without feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose everything. And they were willing to do that. And so I had all these payments coming out, and I never once had to worry about it. Here is why I'm calling this like a jump or a leap, or I like to look at rapid transformation. I saw a post the other day from someone who was kind of like spitting and talking down on people who talk about quantum leaps, because they feel like they're like gaslighting people because everybody doesn't get to go fast. And that is true. Everyone doesn't get to go fast, but there are few who will do what is required to be able to create something like that in their life. The majority will not. So this isn't for everyone. Rapid transformation doesn't happen rapidly for everyone. As a matter of fact, my transformation was long, but I began to learn how to collapse time towards the latter part of my journey. And now I'm experiencing leaps and leaps and quantum leaps and rapid transformation again and again and again. But I was willing to stay with it. And I'm going to give you the 3 principles in just a minute. I was stuck for a long time until I got these concepts. Once I got them and began to live them out, like truly embody them, my income has been doubling and tripling ever since. And that pivotal point for me was in 2018. The first thing being, tell the truth about what you're really trying to create, Shameca. Don't allow anybody to judge what you desire, judge your desires, or how you show up in the world. Just be you. I chose to be the person who was already having $200,000 months. I chose to be the person who was only working a few hours a day and not on the weekends. I put boundaries around all of that stuff so that I can live my life now. Like most people get to the point that I'm at and they're trying to create boundaries in their life. I already have them because I decided to live in that way immediately. I chose to be the person who had unlimited freedom to be with my kids if they had a game, or to travel the world if I wanted to work from anywhere. All of those things. I chose to be the person, no matter that no one understood. Like I remember in the beginning, as I started to like hone in on this boundary that I was creating for myself around who I wanted to be in business. And my family members would call me. They'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm working. They're like, can you go to the store? Can you do this? I'm like, I'm working. People just don't understand that. The freedom to put a boundary and say, I'm going to work for these 4 hours. But then after that, I'm free, right? I get to choose, and I get to choose where it's from. I chose to be the person who had multiple 6 figures in the bank. And that is crazy to me. I remember when I got my first like $20,000, $30,000, I was like, oh my gosh, there's $30,000 in my bank. And then it just kept going and going and going. And I was like, what the heck is happening? Is this really my life? I took screenshots all along the way, and I would send them to my daughter because she was like the only one that I could tell. Right now I'm telling all of you guys. And I would send them to my daughter and I'd be like, is this real? I chose to be that person even before I was, to carry myself with the countenance of a person who was deserving and worthy and capable of creating those types of results. I chose to be the person who said yes to everything that I desired, to celebrate it with zero hesitation and zero apologies, period. No matter how bad people wanted to talk about me for celebrating my monetary wins, I was a chick who didn't have a lot of money. So creating money from nothing meant a lot for me. And I wasn't going to allow anybody to steal my joy from being able to create at that level. And I want you to think, where do you allow people to siphon your joy? Because you're like, I can't tell anybody, right? I can't celebrate the fact that I just had a client who paid me $50,000 when that's more money than I used to make in an entire year. Zero apologies. I just began to show up and celebrate every journey, every step of the way. I took pictures of my mastermind when there was only 3 people in it. I took pictures of my mastermind when there was 8 people in it. And now when there's 50 something people in it, my mind is absolutely freaking blown, because the behavior was always as if there were 50 people or 100 people or hundreds of people in it. So I chose to become and to be, not to become, to actually be the next level version of me now. Now, here's the deal. You don't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that, but I knew how to be the best level me now with her in mind. Like, what would she do? As far as I know, she'd do this. That's what I did. I did the things that I knew she would do. I invested in high level, long-term private mentorship. I created stronger boundaries around my business and my life so that I can live and love the life that I was creating and not just have it be around work. I developed strategic plans for my income and my sales growth. I'm really strategic when it comes to building my business. And it may look like it's just flapping in the wind, but I'm very clear on what I'm creating and how I desire to show up. So much so that when people show up, I have a light bulb going out. That needs to be changed. So much so that when people show up and they want to tell me like, this is the way you should do it because everybody else is doing it, I'm like, no, I've already done it in a way that was so in alignment with who I am and what was in my heart that it was easy. It got to be easy for me because I wasn't working trying to be something that I wasn't. And literally, I spent my life working hard to just be a human on this planet because I was always trying to morph into what I thought other people needed me to be, to show up in the way the rest of the world did. I'm not wired like the rest of the world. And the moment that I got really crystal clear on that and was 100% myself and got consistent with my non-negotiables on a daily basis, everything changed. Once I made those changes and decisions, everything shifted for me, and it shifted quickly. Up until then, it was a long journey. Now, every time I look up, I'm like, what just happened? Literally, I'm sitting with my CFO 2 weeks ago, and she's like, this is how much money you have coming in next month. And I'm like, check it again. That can't be right. Check it again. And I still have these moments where I'm like, holy crap, how is this even a thing? So here is my question to you. I'm sharing today these 3 things that most people are unwilling to do. And the question I want you to ponder as I share is, are you willing? Not with your mouth. With everything that you be, are you all in and are you willing? You ready for those 3 things? All right, here we go. So I truly and wholly, with all my heart, believe that sudden positive shifts can happen like that in an instant. I have seen it. I've experienced it. And in 2020, in the midst of all the chaos in the world, with everybody thinking like the sky is falling, we had the lockdown, we had people losing jobs and trying to figure out how to communicate with each other online. There was so much chaos going on. And December of 2019, I went into that year doing my mastermind with my coach and sharing that this was going to be my $1 million year. We had did just about $500,000 that year. And I thought, okay, I can do this. My income has been doubling every year like clockwork. There's nothing, I can't do anything about it. It literally has been happening. I'm watching it. So reason stands that this will be $1 million year. And then we hit January, and my January was real slow. And then my ego got a hold of me, and I'm a little bit quiet. And then in March, I had some incredible chaos that happened in my life, along with all of the chaos of the world being shut down. Now, the world was saying, hold on to everything you got because we don't know, recession is coming. People were doing like recession-proof your business, all kinds of stuff. And that's the year that my business crossed $1 million for the first time in the midst of all that chaos, right? In order for that to happen, I had to unplug from the average conversations that were happening, the average behaviors of the rest of the world. And we're going to get to that in a minute because I'm going to give you these 3 things that you need to surrender to in order to create rapid transformation. Rapid transformation requires you to surrender. And so I'm going to give you 3 of the things that you need to surrender to. I want you to entertain this and look at this for yourself in order to allow things, money, your desires, the lifestyle, all the things, right? All the being to come faster than you ever imagined possible. So rapid transformation requires that you let go of these 3 things. The first one is going to get a lot of y'all. Control. Ooh, baby. Control. There is a sign. Let me see. You might be able to see it. That red sign on the top. I'm going to pull my computer up so you can see it. Says, I got this, but it's signed God at the bottom. And I used to say this is around 2017, 2018 when I started to get this lesson. Someone bought that for me. I spoke at my church and I shared this concept. And then a few days later, that was given to me. I suffered from I got this syndrome. See, I wanted to make all the plans and make sure everything happened the way that I wanted to. So it'd be like, I'm going to do $1 million this year. And I hadn't even done 6 figures. And at some point I had to surrender control. What I learned is that I don't really control anything. I am co-creating with God, right? Control happens because you're only focused on the things you know, but there's so much more I don't know. I realize I don't really know a whole lot, right? And in order for you to create rapid transformation, it's not born from what I have the knowledge of now. I was sharing this the other day. I don't know, maybe it was another live stream or another episode that I was on where I was sharing like everything that is created, everything that ever has been created was created from nothing. It was created from unknown. We don't know what's next. We never knew that we would have the ability to talk like this. This had to be created from someone's imagination who then went through the figuring out of how to make this possible for you and I, no matter where you are in the world, to hear each other, and for you who are here with me live to see me, right? That's from unknown. Great things, irrational things, illogical transformation is not born from the things that we know. And we can't control what's unknown. And that's a little scary, right? Not everyone is ready to submit control to God, period. But timing is God's. I can do my part. I can do what I know to do, but all the magic and everything else, I'm co-creating. I'm like, all right, that's all I got. And then I let go. And every single time I've done that, it has been magical. Not many people are ready to trust themselves to the degree that they listen to their own intuition, move with it, and then release. Are you? Right? When you co-create with God, you don't have control. So the pushing and the driving and the overdoing it and working 24/7 and trying to be on 55,000 podcasts and making sure that you show up every day, 365 live streams and all these other things for the sake of, I got to do this in order to hit the goal, not for any other reason. There's other reasons why some of those things may be powerful to do. It won't make it happen. It's never going to happen that way. You must surrender control. Trust God. Trust the process. Trust yourself. Trust that you're doing your part, because timing is God's business. I like reading this excerpt, so I'm going to read it again. This is an excerpt from A Happy Pocket Full of Money. This is the book, David Cameron Jacondi. This is, I don't know what chapter it is, but this is on page 37, right? Be careful how you set deadlines for yourself. Time does not exist in an absolute. Quantum physics, our spirituality, and our understanding of eternity all tell us that the only time that truly exists is now, this current moment. It's all I can control, right? And the only place is here, now. For example, imagine that you have a goal of becoming a millionaire or a billionaire in a year. Think about it this way. Why did you choose 1 year? It's a very arbitrary date or deadline. It's a mere grab-a-date. It is possible that Source, God, can create that millionaire or billionaire outcome in an instant. Nothing is difficult for Source, God. So why set a random date for an accomplishment of what could be accomplished in the blink of an eye or at a time that is best suited for you that you may not have thought of right now? I've learned to surrender control. Timing is God's business. I do my part. I set my attention. I make it known. And then I release. I surrender control. Collapsing time happens when you release control. Rapid transformation happens when you release control. You cannot control time. My grandmother used to say, a watch pot don't boil. Sitting there waiting for the water to boil. For me, it was always eggs, right? Well, when I was a kid, it was water boiling. But I would be like making eggs and I'm like, hurry up, eggs, boil water, like get the eggs out of the refrigerator. They weren't room temperature, put them in the pot. And I'm like, okay, go. I'm like the Marshall's commercial, open, go. And it wouldn't go. And then I'd leave and go, you know what? I'm going to go do something else. And the next thing I know, I kid you not, ask my kids, eggs are popping all over the house and the ceiling. I did this more times than not. And I realized that I did it in this time that I was in this transition. This was a lesson, right? When you're on it and trying to control the outcome of the thing, it slows time down perceivably, right? But when you release and let go, it seems like it happens in an instant. Think of every single time you've released the timing of something, right? You come back and your water's boiled over, your eggs are popping all over the place, right? Your popcorn's burned, your cookies are burned in the oven, whatever the case may be. When you release timing, it seems like it goes by fast, right? That's the first thing you must surrender. Second thing you must surrender, normality. Eek, right? Comfort, familiar. You must surrender what's normal. If you're always operating in the norms of what everybody else is doing or believes, you're going to get what everybody else gets. You do what average people do, you're going to get what average people get. Average people go around buying this course and that course and this course and that course. That's how a lot of people are making their money. They keep selling courses over and over again to the same people. A lot of people are doing that. A lot of people aren't getting results. A lot of people are just buying. Information overload. When you're following that pattern as well, when you look at the results of those people, your results will be similar. Similar to in 2020 when everybody was walking around, doing recession-proof offers and I can't remember what it was, but like all of these offers where it's like $97, $100, they were following people who were actually trying to sell to them, who were the masses, and they weren't they didn't have a massive list like those people who had $100,000 lists. So a $97 offer didn't work for them, right? What I taught my clients to do and what we did is we actually served high-level problems. Most of my clients charged more than what they were charging to serve people in this high level way. I had a particular client who immediately had bought into that idea, was selling one of her $3,000 programs for, I don't know, $197, a couple $100, maybe $500. Let's just call it I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, $500. And I was like, do you realize that you're making, let's say she sold 10, you made $5,000 because you decided to make $5,000 because you could have made $15,000, right? And so I asked her, what's a higher level problem that you can solve right now? Instead of buying into what everybody else is saying that we need to reduce it because people don't have jobs. And like, those people aren't your audience. Who is your high level audience that right now there's something that they're needing support around? And she was an investment mentor or coach. And so she realized that there was a lot of people in her audience who had a lot of money that they were sitting on, and now they were fearful about what was going to happen with that money because it wasn't making money, it wasn't doing anything. She created a $20,000 offer for them, which eventually ended up being $25,000 offer. And she had like 6 people take her up on it like that. These are all people who were already in her community, already on her list, who had never bought a single solitary thing from her. She solved a high level problem, but she had to do that by stepping out of the groupthink, the cult of average, right? You do what average people do, you're going to get what average people get, right? Here's what I want you to understand. When it comes to comfort or normality, doing what everybody else is doing because that's like, it makes you feel good, or doing normally what you do on a regular basis. I was telling my clients this just yesterday. Like, what you've done only gets you what you got. Something has to give. You got to move out of the comfort of what you're willing to do to get the unfamiliar, to get what's next. You're only going to get what you got from what you're doing. And that comfort comes from familiarity, right? Doing the things that you're used to do that make you feel safe. It's okay. Breathe. Here's the deal. Listen to me, love. You are asking for things you have never experienced. If you want to go from 100K a year to 100K a month, or from 100K a year to 100K months, you are asking for irrational, irregular, illogical growth. And here's the deal, boo. It's going to come with some discomfort. It's not going to come from doing exactly what you've been doing, how you've been doing it. Rapid expansion, rapid transformation will make you feel very uncomfortable. Most people can't handle it, right? I tried really hard to fix the discomfort by like, okay, what I'm used to is this. I'm gonna do this because I know this, right? What it did is it got me back to where I was comfortable and no results. I had to be able to hold this dichotomy of growth in a business, right? Stretching your capacity to hold more at different levels, at elevated levels, to elevate, to move on, to be in and experience different frequencies and resonances of what 100K month feels like. People who invest at higher levels, it's all different. It's going to be temporarily uncomfortable. You will feel like a fish out of water, like you don't belong sometimes. Like it's something about this is off. It's not really off. It's new. It's different. Are you willing to experience a little bit of dis-ease and difference? And for some people, even discomfort and pain before the explosion of pleasure. That same year, the reason why the beginning of my year was a little wonky, my mastermind had gone from 8 people to 3. Stick with me. But see, I'm willing. I trust in the knowing. I trust the assignment. I understand the assignment and I trust God, right? I've mastered these principles. I've embodied them. So I just kept moving, and I moved with some fire. Not a lot. not a doing, just a certainty. That year, we brought in 36 people into that mastermind who up until that point had only had 12 people ever at any given time in its highest point. It went down to 3. Most people can't stand that discomfort. You start searching for a different answer and doing all the things and not trusting, and you disengage, right? All right, I can't go into that into too much detail, but here's the deal. Are you willing to experience that? Be in it, right? To be willing to move and vacillate between certainty and doubt, your brilliance and confusion. Simply because what you're trying to do is unknown. You've not yet done it. You're going where you've never been. It's not for any other reason but that, but we assign meaning to it that has nothing to do with what's actually happening. See, my mastermind going down to 3, when I look at it now in hindsight with new eyes, 2020, hindsight's 2020, right? I realized there was a clearing that needed to happen. And those 3 people, I just shared this with with the trust group the other day. Those 3 people who were left in 2020 are still with me today. There was a clearing that had to happen. Trust, right? Are you willing? You're going somewhere that you've never been. It makes it seem that you're unsure, but are you willing to allow your brilliance and confusion, seemingly confusion, to coexist? Yes, I'm badass and I'm smart. And I don't even know what I'm doing at the next level. Like, what does running a mastermind with 30 people look like when I have 3? I don't know, but I'm willing to figure it out. Right? I got this and I don't really know what's next has to be able to live on the same plane. That's discomfort. You want to grow and whoa, that's fast, right? Or, oh, that seems slow. Why isn't it happening? Like, all of that has to be able to exist at the same time in order for you to have rapid transformation. To exist in the dichotomy of growth and expansion that is required to get to the next level. Most are not willing to do that. Are you willing? Are you willing? Last one. You got to let go of ordinary, right? Ordinary. I kind of said this earlier, but like what most people think is like, everybody knows that, like that's common sense, right? Be willing to create unexplainable, irrational, unnecessary money, as one of my friends says, which I love. Most people can't fathom how my company created $1 million in a 24-hour period. I am not famous. I do not have a huge following. I only have a handful of employees. And when we crossed $1 million for the first time, it was me and a part-time assistant. We hired the people after that. And I work from home like this. Right? It does not compute for the average person because it is not regular. There's nothing regular or normal about it, boo. Rapid transformation does not exist in the realm of normal. There's nothing common about it. That's why 98% of the world or more will never do what you will. They'll never do what I've done. Right? You can't think like the average person and be an extraordinary human. It doesn't work that way. Creating extraordinary results that are where the top 2% of people live can only happen, or it can't happen, when you're moving in concert with the cult of average. It can't happen. So if you find yourself swinging on this pendulum and paradigm, what everybody believes, like work hard, move slow, slow and steady, wins the race, you're probably plugged into the cult of average. And it's okay. You can stay there. You can get there eventually. But don't expect rapid transformation. You can't think like everybody else and create what most people will never create in their lifetime. and experience what it feels like to have that sort of rapid transformation. It's illogical. There's nothing logical about it. You have to let go of the things that you yourself used to think, believe, do that were once acceptable and okay to you or for you. Because the you that is expanding and moving and accelerating beyond anything you've ever done before and becoming more doesn't think that way or do things the way that she used to. So here's the question. Are you willing to look a little crazy as you experience uncommon, unprecedented growth and extraordinary expansion? If you can answer yes to surrendering to these three things that I just shared with you and really mean it, like live it out day by day by day, embody it, then you are in your rapid expansion season. Embodying it means there's no negotiating with it. It just is. I often share with people the two things that you've embodied, right? Breathing. You don't think about it. You're not negotiating whether or not you're going to get your next breath or how it's going to happen. And walking for most people, right? If you don't have any kind of ailments or impediments that stop you from being able to do so. You just walk every day. You don't get up and go, okay, I'm going to put my feet on the floor. Da, da, da. So if you can't do these three things, like you breathe and like you walk, you haven't embodied it yet. Focus on that. Make it a part of who you be day in and day out, like air. It just is. And you're trusting in it every single day. I want to give you an invitation to play with me at a higher level, to put your truth to the test and play a bigger game than you've ever played before, to engage with like-minded power players that are just like you, who are ready to blow their own minds with what is possible for them. And I want to invite you to play big. And Play Big is actually a program, but I am actually inviting you to play big. Play Big, we're in our 17th round of Play Big. It is one of the most powerful programs I've ever created, and it creates a container and an atmosphere where you are seen in your full power, that activates your full power. It definitely will trigger the parts of you that are playing small, hiding out, being average and hanging with the status quo. It'll cause you to rise just by the nature of how it's designed. In Play Big, I will be showing 30 leaders how to grow and expand their sales, their business, collapsing time beyond anything they've ever created before. We've had clients come in who've done $300,000 in a year, do $300,000 in 60 days inside of this container. People who've done $100,000 in a year do $100,000 in a weekend inside of this container. And the story goes on and on and on and on and on. People are creating revenue faster than they've ever created before. And the money's not the best part. The best part of it is the person that emerges, who you be, who you become as a result of this experience. So just so you know, this isn't a how-to program. It's a container that holds you in the highest frequency of your power, right? You don't need someone to tell you what to do. You know that. You're doing the things, but it's the becoming, right? What you need is a mirror reflecting back to you, consistently holding the greatness that you know you already have. What you need is an energetic calibration portal, a container that ensures that you don't keep turning it on and off and fluctuating up and down and falling in and out of your own power. Because we don't struggle when we're in our higher power. We struggle when we're outside of it, when we're walking beside it, just adjacent to it. Play Big is a space where you tap into the next level version of you. The next level version that you know is there already, but for some reason, you can't stay on top of that identity. So inside of Play Big, we only see, I'm gonna drink some water, and know you as as that version of yourself, the biggest, badass version, most badass version of yourself. So we're taking 30 people through the program. 23 spots are already gone. So there's 7 spots available. Question is one of them yours? Here's how you get access. There is no sales page for Play Big. I am very particular about who I allow into this particular container because you must be ready to play a bigger game. And so there is an application process, a screening process. We do that in Facebook Messenger. So send me a message to apply. Message me, and then we'll get started with the conversation. I'll give you the application, and we'll see if that's you, if one of the spots is yours. So when you message me, so that I know that it's for this particular reason, message me with the words, I'm ready to play big. Message me, I'm ready to play big. In my world, and specifically inside of this program, we focus on three things. Fully embodied leadership of self, because when you own all of you, you get to have everything. Everything you desire just comes. And it comes in God's timing, but it comes, right? We also focus on intentional strategy. Like I said, I'm intentional and I'm strategic about how I build my business. And for me, that looks like organic marketing and sales that call in your highest level clients. Simple organic marketing and sales. No complicated stuff, right? You'd be surprised how many people try to sell me complication to get to $1 million, and I have to giggle and say, I don't need that. I'm already at multiple millions of dollars without any of that, right? And then the last thing is quantum energetics, right? It's like looking at frequencies and calibrating to the frequency of your next level of wealth. It's not about me or anybody else. Everything has a resonance to it. That's how the world was created. Everything has a vibration, right? God spoke the world into existence. When you look at the very nucleus of an atom, it is a sound wave. There is a resonant frequency of 100K months. There's a resonant frequency of 50K months. There's a resonant frequency of clients who are willing to pay $50,000 in full, right? Are you calibrated to that frequency? Are you up-leveling and up-leveling yourself so that you're in the same frequency with those things that you desire? The last thing I want to share about Play Big is it's a no excuse zone. Absolutely zero excuses, zero toleration for excuses. We are leaders of leaders. Power players, we lead ourselves like nobody's business. And so this isn't the place where you want to come and play blame game, like it was my last coach, it's the economy. None of that stuff happens inside of this container. This is an invitation to lock your arms with people who are on the same level or higher, and to walk at your highest frequency of power. And inside of this powerful container, I will be sharing what has changed the game for me, and I'll walk you through the work. Now, the last thing that I want to let you know, if you're listening to me, because for most people, deciding whether or not they play big, hopefully it's not a monetary decision, but I want to let you know that it's not a small investment. It's $10,000, $10,500 to play big right now. That investment is going to go up to $15,500. So if you are thinking that you want to play, now is the time to jump in. So DM me, Shameca, I'm ready to play big. We'll get your application started. There are payment plans available. I'll give you all the details of how that works. And here's what I want to share. The life that you desire, whatever that looks like, it's different for different people, right? I get irritated by people who are like, true wealth isn't things. It's not the this or the that or the traveling or the, Louis Vuitton or my Dylan Lex. It's not those things. It's the freedom. It's the this. Even the things that they say that it is, money bought that. Right? And so let's get clear about what you want your life to look like, not based on anybody else's standard, but your own, right? All of that, whatever it is, whatever you truly desire, is awaiting for you to fully claim it, right? There's nothing, love, that you can't accomplish. Trust me, I know it's all available. Like I'm literally living a dream, a life that I prayed to God to have. And I'm in it. And now I'm expanding my dreams because of it. Because this is the reality. We are on the cusp of our third $1 million year. And it is crazy to me to even think that the girl who once dreamed of doing millions and then thought millions were never in the cards for her. Maybe she was just dreaming it, and life was too messed up to make it happen. It is my reality. And so I know what's possible. Everything is possible. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for watching my show, my channel. Here's what I want you to do. If you really love what you've been listening to, I want you to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. No, really, leave a comment, like right now. I'm not gonna stop talking until you leave a comment. Seriously, leave a comment.